gas.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to All Gas, All Georgia Sports. We are glad you are here. Going to do some Georgia football talk today, because how can you not? We're going to recap the UGA Oregon game. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to talk some fantasy football. We actually have an interview segment with our 2019 fantasy football champion, Mr. Zach, a.k.a. Zock. Should be a fun segment. I hope you enjoy that. But what we're not going to do today is we're not going to talk about the Mets. We're not going to do it. We're not going to talk about the Mets crumbling into the abyss, falling into the depths of the ocean that is their empty, cold, dark souls. We're not going to talk about how the Mets have dropped 2 games in 2 days by losing to the Nationals 7-1 both days in a row, while the Braves have beaten up on the Marlins. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how our deficit in the NL East is just 1 game. It's not going to come up. I'm going to save that for Wednesday. So we're just, you know what? We're not going to get into how the Mets are, look, I called it. No, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. That's for Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. But, ooh, it's coming. Okay. So not going to do that for sure. Definitely not going to do that. But I'm going to talk a lot of Georgia football and fantasy football today. But before we do any of that, as always, I'm going to give you some trivia. And I got to say this, too. Before I even give you the trivia question, I didn't answer last episode's trivia question. The trivia question from last episode on our UGA hype show was, who won the only other matchup between UGA and Oregon back in 1977? Who won that? And the answer to that is Georgia, of course. But, yeah, so we're 2-0 all-time against Oregon, but I didn't answer it. I don't know what it was, just got lost in the moment, I guess. You know how it is. You get excited about things. I get excited about the show. I get kind of lost in thought from time to time, and I just skipped right over that. First time it's ever happened on this show, so I apologize for that. If it ended and you were like, wait, what the hell? Where'd the trivia answer go? That's where it went. It went away in my mind. But that is the answer to that. I'm sure you guys heard the talk about that in the game broadcast, because they referenced it a couple of times. But either way, that was the answer there. Your trivia question for today's episode is, Blooper was introduced in January of 2018 as the mascot for the Atlanta Braves. Who was the mascot before that? Prior to Blooper, who was the mascot for the Atlanta Braves? So think about that. See if you know it. We will circle around to that at the end of the episode this time. I won't forget today, I promise. And even if I do, you know what? I'm going to come back and edit it. That's how committed I am to giving you that. So going to circle back around to that later, but we're going to go ahead and jump right into some Georgia Bulldogs football. And I told you what I tell you. What did I tell you, Georgia fans and college football fans around the world? I said that UGA is going to eviscerate their opponents this year. They not only didn't skip a beat, they dominated. They have replenished their depth. They look so good. They look so powerful and explosive and aggressive and just efficient. I mean, they pummeled Oregon, and I told you guys, Oregon has got enough talent to compete. Oh my God, but have you seen that they have so many returning starters from last year? Nope. Georgia just absolutely kicks off this season with a bang, and you guys, it was a beautiful thing. It was a work of art out there. It was poetry in motion on Saturday. They just executed in every way, shape, and form. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Saturday's matchup against Oregon, UGA wins 49-3. 49-3. I don't know what to say. I called it, and I'm going to say it over and over because I did. It felt good, too, because a lot of these, predicted scores, it was 35-21, or it was 28-21. It was kind of which I get it when you're doing that, but I tweeted right before the game. I said, no, UGA 42, Oregon 17. I gave them some. I was like, yeah, they got some talent. Maybe they, Bo Nix knows this team and yada yada. But that was my initial prediction, was 42-17, and they exceeded that by a lot. So it was fantastic. Just go Dogs. Go Dogs! Man, it was awesome. So, okay, we're going to get into the specifics of this game because there's so many things that are worth highlighting, so many players that deserve a shout out and highlights that are worth mentioning and going through. Before I do that, I'm going to talk about Kirby Smart post game because, look, I'm an emotional fan. I get really excited, as some of y'all might be able to tell from listening to this show. And I'm a very enthusiastic person. What can I say? It's just it's in me. But Kirby Smart has got a way of just humbling people. He immediately, when he started, when he was getting asked about, the game, he just went in and he said, look, both teams had 14 first downs going into the first half, and there was no sacks all game for our defense, and there was no punts by either team in the first half. So he was like, honestly, it wasn't like we were crushing them, which is insane. Because yes, we were, Kirby. We were destroying. But he said we had some opportunistic and timely turnovers, which is very true. Because they did, they had some momentum at points. Bo Nix never looked really comfortable, in my opinion. But they moved the ball down the field. But we just got these timely turnovers and very athletic and incredible turnovers, too. I'm going to get into that as I highlight some of these players. But, yeah, Kirby Smart. And I guess you have to be pretty finely tuned at, like, humbling people's expectations and hype because, not only just as a fan base, I guess. Maybe he's just trying to tell us to chill out. I don't know if it's going to work. But you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids. I'm sure that a big part of that job description is being able to keep things in perspective for young people. And since I'm emotionally a 12-year-old, don't know if it's going to work on me. But, I think it works for the players because even in their post-game press conferences, they all sounded very humble, very well put together, very well thought out. Talking about some of the mistakes they made, some of the things, whatever. Who cares? It was a great game. It was a demolition. And, yeah, he also, this Kirby Smart's so cool because he was like recruiting during his press conference. So what did he say? He was talking about how we lack some depth at the skill position. And he was talking about, he had referenced that at one point. So it wasn't a topic of discussion, but he had referenced it in passing a bit. And then kind of in the same, breath or two, he was like, yeah, if I was watching from home, I would think, man, I'd want to play in that offense. How do you not? I want to be there. I want to be in that offense. And it's just like, it was clearly just what a great Jedi mind trick to put that out there. I'm sure that's going to be a headline. At least it should be, where Kirby Smart says that people should want to play in this offense. Because, look, we lost Jermaine Burton. He transferred, and, the assumption there, I think he came out and said it. It's for his career, and I'm sure that means that he wants to go play at Alabama, which he is, and maybe get some more stuff on tape. We've seen a lot of really successful wide receivers come out of the University of Alabama and make it into the NFL. They are kind of wide receiver U right now. Not kind of, they are. And so he went there assuming to kind of ride that wave into the pros. And hey, he's a kid, good for him. All that's fine. But Kirby's kind of going, wait now, we got a program over here too. And their offense, both the defense and offense stole the show, but the offense, in my opinion, was just outstanding. I don't even know who I want to talk about first. Who am I going to talk about first? How about this? I'll start with the tight end group. So Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington, they have, I think, the most hype coming into the season because, David Pollock said it himself, and he said it in a beautiful way, but it was just, this might be the most talented tight end room in college football history. And, granted, this comes from David Pollock, a former Dog, a UGA fan. Assuming he's a UGA. Of course he's a UGA fan. He went to UGA, of course. But I've always thought that David Pollock's actually done a really good job at not being like too biased, because I get it. I'll be biased here, but when his job, he's got to be a little more objective. But he came out and straight up said, this has got to be the most talented tight end room in the entire country and maybe in college football history. But between both tight ends, and they did not steal the show for me, although they were great. There was one play in particular that might have actually stole the show just from Darnell Washington. But between Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers, there was they combined for 4 catches and 71 yards. So that's good. But, we got to talk about Darnell's jump. This dude is 6'7", 270 pounds, and he catches this ball kind of on the outside. It was like a 5-yard pass. It wasn't that long, but he breaks this tackle. I thought it was going to be just a quick kind of, pass to the outside, get a couple yards, and pick it up for the next play. But no, he breaks this tackle and then just starts, and he moves so fast. That dude, for being that large, it's like unbelievable seeing how quickly he got down the sideline. But then, as someone else was coming out to tackle him low, which, I mean, that's the only way you can tackle a guy that large, he just jumps over him. He hurdles him. It was like a No-Shawn Marino hurdle. If you guys remember how he used to do that back in the day. And Darnell Washington straight up just jumped over this dude after he broke a tackle, got some more yards after that, and he was fast doing it. It was really a beautiful thing to see, because I know that he dealt with some injuries last year, so we didn't see him as much as Brock Bowers, maybe at all. And, Brock Bowers has gotten all this attention, deservedly so, as, widely regarded as the best tight end in the entire country, which, based on what we saw last year, that's 100% true. But Darnell Washington, do not sleep on this guy. There aren't many people who can move like that at that size. LeBron James is the only one that comes to mind. I know there's some other tight ends in the NFL. I mean, these guys are so much bigger than I think we even realize, especially when you see them in person. You just go, oh, wow. I mean, they really are just monsters. The NFL players are just next level, and college football players too. But, I mean, even amongst those huge people, 6'7", 270, moving like that and being shredded like that, that's just freaking ridiculous. So, yeah, that jump, Darnell's jump, is going to be on highlight reels for a while. As it should be. I'm sure it already is. I'm sure if you've been flipping through YouTube, turning on ESPN, whatever you're seeing, if you're seeing highlights of this game, you 100% saw that. And man, I jumped with him. When Darnell jumped, I jumped too, because I could not believe it when I saw it. Unbelievable play. The running backs, the running backs are threats in the pass game. And I was curious about this because I was asking, it was either last episode or a couple of episodes ago, I was kind of asking myself, are we still RBU? Because remember, it was Todd Gurley, Keith Marshall, immediately followed by the reign of Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, and before that, you had No-Shawn. I mean, we've kind of been a running back factory for a while now, and I was like, are we still like that? DeAndre Swift. But I haven't been too familiar with these guys, and some of these guys have been kind of waiting for their chance, Kenny McIntosh being one of them, who may have been him and Stetson Bennett, between the two of them, and Ladd McConkey. I mean, yeah, who do you choose? I don't know who I would say the MVP of the game is, but you got to highlight Kenny McIntosh. He led all receivers with 9 catches and 117 yards and had a rushing touchdown. He may have had 2 touchdowns in total. I don't know. No, he had 1 rushing, but in the pass game, he was unbelievable. His yards after catch, I think that of those 117 yards receiving, I believe over 100 of them were after the catch. So the dude's athletic is all get out, and he just moved great. He hit people hard, has great hands, very athletic, was shifty, explosive, everything you'd want. So yeah, I didn't know what to expect, and I was a pleasant surprise with seeing how just explosive our backs are out of the backfield, and not just running the ball, but with their ability to catch. Which, what a wonderful thing to have, especially considering how the game has evolved over the years. You still have these like workhorse backs; they do exist. You've got the pros, Nick Chubb is kind of like that. He's not really thought of as that dual threat guy. You've got Derrick Henry, who are just, they are game changers, but so many backs in the pros especially, you got to be able to catch. It's just, with offenses being so pass heavy now, it's an incredible weapon to have at your disposal when you can check down to the back in the flat, and their athletic ability alone can get you anywhere from 5 to 10 yards at any given time. So our guys absolutely looked like they can do that, and they absolutely did on Saturday. So the running backs, huge highlight for me. And Stetson Bennett. Let's talk about Stetson Bennett for a second. He goes from a game manager to a game changer. Goes 25 of 31 with 368 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and the throw that he made when he was scrambling around in the red zone was like, that's the thing about Stetson Bennett that I was like, what is he going to look like this year? Because coming into this year, even all last year, Georgia fans were included in this, but they were like, should he be starting ahead of JT Daniels? Is he really the guy? Is he just kind of our game manager, just kind of knows the playbook, just kind of dink and dunk and, all that? And then he started lighting it up in the playoffs especially, and in that national championship game, you really got to see how he can sling the ball. But on Saturday, it was a whole nother version of that guy that I had never seen before. And it wasn't just the scramble touchdown pass, because actually in a press conference, he was saying, like, I shouldn't be doing that. He's like, that was a blown play by me. I should have gone to Brock, or I should have gone to the check down, or I should have thrown it away. He's like, that was actually a mistake that I shouldn't be repeating throughout the year. So very humble of him to say that. But I don't care. I'll say it for you, Stetson. That was sick. That was unbelievable, incredibly athletic. And to be able to make that kind of throw under pressure when you're about to get hammered. Now, granted, I get it. Ladd wasn't covered. He was kind of wide open, but he knew where Ladd would be, according to him. His words, not mine. And so when he came back around, he's like, I just had to give it a shot. And even though I think some people would consider that a mistake, the fact that he has the ability to make plays like that tells me that Stetson Bennett is not just this game manager guy that we've all kind of touted him as for the last few years. He is an incredible athlete, a great quarterback. And Kirby Smart, in his own words, is saying, yeah, we have an incredible amount of trust in him. That's what you get when you have an experienced quarterback that knows what to do. You get a game against a number 11 ranked opponent where you go for, just how efficient is that? 25 for 31, 368, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And even what was impressive to me was the plays in which he threw the ball away. Literally, there was a few plays where it was like you could see him going through his progressions, 1 through 5 or whatever it was. He just kind of runs outside and he throws it away, but he looked really calm doing it. It was like, okay, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And his composure in the pocket, if you remember that one play when he had what seemed like 15 seconds in the pocket, I know that's an exaggeration, but he had a really long time. Anyone who watched the game knows exactly the play that I'm talking about. But one play, he was sitting there, and at one point, he wasn't even like bouncing in the pocket. He was just standing there, and the offensive line gave him just an incredible amount of time, and he finally kind of directed a wide receiver to the edge, slings one for 15 or 20 yards, and our receiver, I think it was A.D. Mitchell, caught it on the sideline. But his poise and his decision-making, his accuracy, his zip, everything, his ability to move, he just looks like a dude that you go, like, for the last few years, if we've been saying, like, man, where are our quarterbacks? Why aren't we getting these guys like the, whatever, Tua's or any Alabama guy, I guess. But the guys that, visibly seem to make a really noticeable difference for defenses on Saturdays, it's like it didn't feel like Georgia had those guys at quarterback. On Saturday, it looked like we did. So we'll see what he does for the rest of the year, but Georgia fans have got to be excited with what they saw out of Stetson Bennett. Unbelievable game. That's a game that he should remember forever because incredibly efficient and just explosive and confident. So go Stetson. Malachi Starks, another guy that stood out to me. This guy is a freshman cornerback making his debut on Saturday. Number 12 overall prospect coming out of the 2021 class. Number 12 overall nationally. Cornerback out of Jefferson, Georgia, Malachi Starks. And he had 8 tackles in his debut, but really, of course, the highlight that everyone's talking about, that everyone's thinking about, is that interception that he had when he was one-on-one on the outside when Bo Nix threw it deep. Now, granted, well, no, that was a different throw by Bo Nix. So that one, it wasn't necessarily a bad decision by Bo, because when you have a freshman corner on the outside, one-on-one, and you think your guy can win that matchup, yeah, throw it up. Was it a bad throw? Not necessarily. It really wasn't. The second pick that he had was a bad decision, and the announcers weren't shy about talking about it. But the first one, that was just absolutely an unbelievable play by an athletic cornerback, because he was running full speed with the guy, had to turn his body last second, totally go for the ball, commit to the ball, not the player, and as he's running, turns, jumps up, and makes just an unbelievably athletic play to come down with that pick. Malachi Starks, he made a loud statement, because not only was that pick incredible, but he also had a lot of tackles that game. He was all over the place. He was one of the highlights defensively, which how surprising is that, considering that we're all looking for Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter. Both also had great games, but for a freshman cornerback to come in and look that difference-making was pretty exciting to see. So Malachi Starks, great game. I can see now why, and the announcer said this too. They go, well, what makes a 4-star, 3-star, 5-star? They went, that's what a 5-star looks like. 100%. And Ladd McConkey, we got to talk about Ladd. Oh, Ladd stole the show with 2 touchdowns. He was inches away from 3. He had 89 all-purpose yards, but he was everywhere. He just seemed like he was just touching the ball. In a PPR league, that dude would have just crushed. Um, he was just, they were using him like crazy. He ran one in. I think he caught one too. I think, yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, one rushing, which was kind of a design play where they kind of faked to the back and then threw it to Ladd on the outside, and he got in. But he almost had a third. It was kind of hilarious. Like, he caught this long pass from Stetson, and he like made a guy miss, and then you could tell he was trying to just launch his way into the end zone, stretched out for it, but it was just inches short, and then we ended up scoring right afterwards. But I don't know if he actually scored the touchdown on that drive or not. That'd be cool if it was him, considering that he was so close. But either way, he was all over the place. So yeah, 89 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns, and it just seemed like every, I don't know, third play he had the ball in his hands and he was doing something special. So really cool to see that. Ladd, good name, strong name. It's a name that it flows. Ladd sounds like a football name. I'm gonna enjoy saying that name this year. So from the looks of things, I think I'll be saying it a lot more. Last highlight is, of course, the defense. Didn't give up a single touchdown. The offense, I mean, yeah, they were great, but the defense, yeah, they didn't allow a single score. Enough said. 2 timely turnovers, and then in the second half, they just turned it on to a whole nother level. So my conclusion with this game is just, the defense didn't give up a single touchdown. Offense only punted once. Oregon had no clue what was coming from a play calling perspective. Everyone stood out, and UGA has officially made a statement to the world that not only have we not fallen off post-NFL draft, but our talent is replenished and we are primed for another deep run in 2022. Go Dogs. Let's go. I mean, whew. They look good. They look good. Bummer for Dan Lanning, I guess, as an aside. Kirby said in his post-game too, this was kind of savage too. I don't know if this, it was, it's just true, I guess, but he was like, they were asking him about Dan Lanning. He's like, look, I love Dan. I got a lot of respect for Dan. But Dan knows that we have better players. He's not going to admit it, but Dan knows it. And yeah, Georgia's just got more talent. We got better players, which was pretty savage of Kirby to say, but it's just true. The talent separation, the talent gap was noticeable on Saturday. So yeah, I wish Dan Lanning well. I know that he was very respected at Georgia and everywhere he's been. Apparently he is a just savage and, persistent recruiter. He's responsible for a lot of the guys that we have at Georgia. So we can thank him for what he did for us upon his departure. But yeah, I hope he does well. As a former Georgia guy, but not on Saturday. He didn't. So go Dogs. Just fantastic. There was also, that's all I have on the Bulldogs, by the way. But there were some other great games in the 7:30 time slot. So, Florida wins with a late pick in the end zone against Utah, and Utah was ranked 7th overall, but it was in the swamp. And look, I don't care who you are or how bad Florida is or has been, but going to the swamp's tough. And yeah, Florida came away with an upset. I'm sure they're going to crack the top 25. Honestly, as they should. It's, they played a great game. Their quarterback looks good. I was actually watching it with a Florida fan, which, yes, I do have friends that are Florida fans. That does exist. Coexist. You've seen the bumper stickers. It can happen. It's possible. But I was watching it with the Florida fan. He was pumped, obviously. But their quarterback does look really good. Incredibly athletic guy. They didn't use him really in the pass game that much. He just ran a lot. He did have a highlight-worthy play on a 2-point conversion where he missed some tackles and then threw a dime in the end zone for a 2-point conversion. But that game was incredible because Utah was driving the ball down the field in the last couple of minutes. They had about a minute 30, minute 40 left in the game with a couple timeouts, but they were driving the ball down the field, and they got to like within the 5-yard line or something. And they dropped back. It was very Russell Wilson Super Bowl kind of, moment. Now, they didn't have that much time, so I get why they may not have tried to pound the ball in the end zone there. And he was on rhythm. He was in rhythm getting the ball down the field. It's a great quarterback. But he just, I think he targeted that one guy too much. There was number 80, I think it was. I can't remember his name. It escapes me now. Reiser is the quarterback's name, but yeah, he threw into like triple coverage in the end zone on the game-winning drive, what would have been the game-winning drive, and they picked it off, and they sealed the deal in the swamp. So, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily say good for you, Florida, but that's what happened. And then the Ohio State game, Them and Notre Dame was good. That was a brutal, physical, intense battle in the horseshoe. Low scoring for much of it. Ended up being, I think, 21-10 final score, but for a long time it was 10-7. Notre Dame had the lead for a little while, but offensive struggle for both teams. C.J. Stroud started looking good in the latter half of the game. But, the horseshoe looks like it would be a fun place to go to a game. And for whatever reason, I don't know why this is. Maybe someone in the comments can help articulate this for me, but I don't know why I want to see Ohio State lose. As a Georgia fan, I don't really have anything against them. I have no idea why, but for whatever reason, I want Ohio State. I almost want them to do well and then lose as soon as they get a lot of attention. I just want to see them crumble. Why is that? Why do I have that reaction to them? I don't know. Is that opinion shared in the college football world? Do you guys also hate Ohio State, who aren't fans, obviously? Because I have no reason historically to hate Ohio State, but it's not even hate. I just I want them to be overhyped and then get proven that they're overhyped. I don't know why. So they won. I was kind of pulling for Notre Dame, but not enough that I was getting too fired up. But yeah, I kind of want Ohio State to go down. But whatever. They didn't. They came away with the win at the horseshoe. Good for them. And college football is back. It's good to be back, you guys. God, it feels good. It feels like everything's right in the world. When I was watching football and when I was scrolling through different games, it was such a familiar feeling. Just scrolling back and forth between multiple games and going, oh, let's check the score here. Oh, commercial here. Let's go back to the Florida game. Let's go back to the Georgia game. Let's go back to the Ohio State. It felt right. And I'm almost am I just in denial for the rest of the year? Whenever football is not on, does my brain trick me into thinking that, okay, I'm ready for it to be over. Let's go to baseball. Let's go to spring. Let's enjoy the summer. Let's go swim in the lake. Let's paddle around. Let's go to rope swings and have picnics and, enjoy the greenery. No, as soon as college football starts, I'm like, the rest of the year sucks. How did I survive? How did I make it? How have I not just gone crazy waiting for football to start? Because I do in August. In August, I'm it hits its peak. But I mean, the world is right when football is on television, and it's back, you guys. And then not only that, but now we have a week of NFL hype to get ready for. Our fantasy football seasons are going to start. And speaking of fantasy football, we're going to get into our next segment. It's an interview with Zach, a.k.a. Zoc. Anyone who ever listened to our trivia podcast, it's not many of you guys, but he used to be on that with us. He also took part in our movie review podcast with Slurp, R.I.P. Slurp. But Zach is our 2019 champion, and we did this interview right after our draft. Actually, we did the draft and then watched the end of the Ohio State game and the Florida game, and then we came and we did this interview segment where we discussed the draft. So we're going to talk some fantasy football in the next segment, so I hope you enjoy. I'll be back. All right, so we've got Zach here.
Hello.
Who is in our fantasy league. And we wanted to do a little fantasy draft recap because we just did our draft today in the midst of the college football mayhem, which was fantastic. Although the draft worked out perfectly. We're right in between the Georgia game and the Notre Dame game. We were able to draft, and we were done for kickoff for Notre Dame, which was surprising because most of our drafts end up being way longer.
Well, they take forever because there are people who, for whatever reason, take the whole 2 minutes to think over, should I take Aaron Johnson or anyone else?
Yeah.
It's well, obviously.
Yeah, and I had it set at 90 seconds per pick, which I don't know if you can go longer than that. I know that in years past I had shortened it, but for whatever reason. Now, sometimes, I know the league doesn't really like this, but sometimes I like the long pauses in between just because, either someone might overthink their next pick. Mm-hmm. Maybe if someone didn't study enough, maybe someone didn't have their draft board set, then, the longer time is in between picks. You start second guessing, maybe doing the should I or should I not kind of game. So I had it longer, but it ended up working out fine. Everyone drafted really quick tonight.
Well, I'm always anti doing homework.
You are?
Well, because I feel like people overthink it.
Well, I'm actually glad that you brought that up, Zach, because one of the things that I had on my notes for you today was now I did a category. I did a TikTok video that we did that went fairly viral. Not viral, but like for like our podcast TikTok, it's performed well.
Sure.
Gotten a lot of engagement, gotten a lot of people commenting, liking, saying, "Hey, I'm this," but I did 7 categories of fantasy football drafters, and you were actually one of these categories.
Okay, which one?
And you were the out of touch category.
100%.
Where someone who drafts someone who's suspended, maybe just got sent to prison for the rest of their life. Like
Sure.
you would have probably drafted Aaron Hernandez right after he got charged. But there was one year in particular that we've referenced a lot tonight, but I'll say it for our listeners is there was one year in particular where you drafted Melvin Gordon in the first round, who was hurt at that time. And it was like a recent injury where we were like, oh shit, like he's going to be gone for a while. And then so you drafted him and we were like, oh wow, dude, you didn't know that he was hurt. And then you were like, oh crap, bummer. And your very next pick was Ezekiel Elliott, who had just gotten suspended for 4 games, and you had no idea.
Well, I think that year it was there was a suspension and then fear of a holdout for contracts for both.
Oh,
yeah.
Melvin Gordon was holding out.
Yeah, he was holding
you're
out,
right.
and then Zeke was suspended and then holding out, and everyone was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" And then the crazy thing was, I won that year.
He did win that year.
Yeah.
That sucked. Yeah, because we gave you a really hard time after the draft because it was your first 2 picks.
Yeah.
So you were that year the out of touch guy. So when you say you don't do homework, I mean, yes, that is in that year especially you didn't, but it worked out.
Yeah.
So who's to say? I found a good groove with my homework. I think.
Yeah.
I pretty much do my studying the day of.
Okay.
Instead of like days leading up to it. I've had times where like weeks leading up to it, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm doing some studying, taking notes. I mean, I've been busy, granted, but like really this year it was day of. I did a few mock drafts. But I watch a lot of football.
Sure.
I have a pretty good idea like who got drafted where, who got traded where, and after a few mock drafts, I was feeling it. I was feeling good.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's weird. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can dive into with homework, but to what extent are you just doing too much?
Yeah, you can definitely overthink it.
Oh yeah, because like there was somebody who I think it was Megan. She picked Denver's like second string running back. I could be wrong.
Did she?
That's what it felt like, and that felt like one of those like, oh well, this year, like the guy in front of him might not be super healthy.
Oh, yeah.
And on top of that, and I'm just like, no, like why don't you just pick RB1?
Just pick the guy.
Yeah, just pick the guy.
So that was, I mean, I think you drafted well. We'll have to do a quick recap. Although I'm a little hesitant to do a full recap of who we drafted, only because in an episode prior, my message to any listeners was no one cares about who you drafted on your fantasy team.
Sure. Yeah.
Because whenever, I don't know if you've experienced this, but whenever I'm talking to other people about fantasy football, I'm 100% just waiting for my turn to talk.
Yeah.
Someone else is going, oh, I drafted this guy in the second round, and then, oh, this guy got hurt, and then but luckily I got his backup, and I'm like, yeah, that's really cool, waiting for him to be done so I can go, oh, here was my game.
Yeah.
And so we could say who we picked, but I think maybe we can talk about it in a general sense of what we have. But, in the most general of senses, how do you feel about this year?
I feel great, yeah. I was looking at my team, and it's a good looking team.
Do you have the chart that shows?
Let's see if I can pull it up.
Like who drafted worst or best? It's on the homepage, and if you just scroll down on the fantasy homepage. By the way, and this is not sponsored in any ways, but we use ESPN fantasy football. I'm an ESPN loyalist. I've done Yahoo. Yahoo's okay. ESPN is superior. It just is. It's a fact. I know, it's just some people have strong opinions about this. What I can hopefully agree with most people on is that if you are a fan tracks person, you just we're just operating in a different universe, and we probably won't connect on anything ever because Fantrax is the worst fantasy sports app maybe ever designed. Well, exactly. You should, good for you.
Yeah.
For not knowing what that is. Be grateful. I did a fantasy baseball thing this year, and I think I might have gotten more into it if we didn't use Fantrax. And the guy who was running the league was like, it's really good for the managers. You can really operate well. You can kind of like manage things. But I can't remember what he said. There was some sort of managerial tools that it offered him that he liked it better for. Dude,
that's the most baseball shit I've ever heard.
I didn't even know how to look at my roster.
Yeah.
I didn't know what button to push for anything. I couldn't figure out how to find out players that were available. I didn't even know who I was starting or if I could trade any. Had zero idea. Fantrax was the worst thing ever. ESPN, it's intuitive, it's great. So speaking of, I think on the homepage, if you scroll down.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah. How did we rank?
we did not rank well.
Like you and I didn't?
No. So
Really?
I ranked 5th out of 8.
Okay.
You ranked 7th out of 8.
Okay.
So your team.
Okay, I have a theory as to why this is.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I've been ranked 8th before and then 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole like drafting thing, it really is a crapshoot. Like you win the leagues on the waiver wire, you win them in free agency. I'm not a huge trader, are you? I feel like you never trade. You don't trade.
My first year, I got goaded into a trade that was unfavorable to me. And ever since then, I have a policy.
Who traded with
It
you?
was this kid, Jake Alward. And to be fair, No. I didn't even accept the trade because I looked at it and I was like, trading's bullshit. Because it was when Frank Gore was still relevant in San Francisco.
Sure.
And I think Brandon Cooks was this rookie, this like really good player.
Was
I think
that
he
New
had
Orleans?
it was in
Yeah,
New
he was
Orleans.
good.
He was having a good year. And he offered, he was like, if you give me Brandon Cooks and Frank Gore, I'll give you bullshit. I don't even remember what the player was. I'm sure he's not in the league anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like
I'll
this is my first time.
I'll 100% throw out some trade trolls.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, I'll give you my last pick for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I'll just send that to people sometimes just to mess with them.
Sure.
And if they now, okay, let's say from your perspective, let's say I had trade trolled somebody
Uh-huh.
and they accepted it. Maybe it's on accident. I don't know, and it passes somehow. Since I'm the league manager, would you be like, dude, you got to overturn that?
Of course. Of course.
100%
Unless it was
not
really
happening.
funny.
Yeah, it's
Unless he
100%.
was like, I'll give you a cookie for Patrick Mahomes and like a defense.
No, if somebody actually hits yes, accept, I think I would 100% let that fly. Even if it wasn't benefiting me, well, if it hurt me.
Okay, but there was a year where Gabe was losing and he was going to trade all his good players for bench players just to fuck with the league. Remember that?
I don't know. I think I do. So you ranked 5th. I ranked 7th. I think the reason why I ranked so low is because in the later rounds, I took players that I probably could have gotten
Mhm.
in like a round following that,
Right.
but I was like, I want him.
Sure.
And at this point, we were in like maybe the 12th, 13th round. I don't even remember how many rounds there are. How many rounds are there? How many total roster spots?
Let's see.
Is it 12? No, I think it's more than 12. I want to say it's 16 maybe.
So there's 9 in the starting lineup, and then on the bench we have 7.
Okay, so yeah, there's 16. So
Yeah.
like in the 13th, 14th round, I'm like, we're all kind of. I mean, there's still good players available, especially in an 8-team league.
Mhm.
I've played in 12-team leagues where it really gets thin after round like 6.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, 6 rounds in, you're going, crap, I don't even know these guys. And you're just, at that point, you're just trusting the rankings, you
Yeah.
know? But in an 8-team league, you can get pretty obscure because there's a lot of guys who didn't get drafted that are really good.
Sure.
There's actually one in particular that I have referenced on this show before, but I'm not going to say it with you here because I want to pick him up, and
Okay.
I forgot to draft him. But he's really low. He's not someone that I think. You don't have to look.
Nah, I'm just.
No, that's cool. You don't have to look.
What are his initials?
Nope.
What's his birthday?
Right. So, but no, my theory is that because in those rounds, I wasn't taking like the highest ranked available. I was taking guys that were farther down, but I was like, I want him. So I'm just taking him. So I
Sure.
think maybe on paper, maybe that hurts my overall positioning, but I don't know, man. It's,
Well, they do it based on like cumulative projection. So whatever your guys would be scoring, they just tally that up for the end of what they assume will be like
Yeah.
their scores at the end.
yeah, it's true.
And then your team is worth, I don't know, like 16,000 points, and mine's worth like 1650. So I'm
Okay.
in 5th, and you're like down there.
Do you pay attention to the rankings a lot? Like, or the projected totals?
No.
Like, so going into a matchup, if you're projected to lose by 10.
That?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I do. I definitely do.
Would you say that you're like really loyal to those projections?
No, because there
My
are
wife
just
is. Megan is. It's
She
bad.
is.
Oh my God. Yeah, she will start. Yes, she wants to know the projections, the rankings. She wants it all. She's a bit of a ranking slave. That is a term coined by the show The League. the ranking slave, but she relates to that heavily.
I do too. I mean, to a degree. I mean, there's like a certain point where I don't know, you'll have like a stifling defense going against this wide receiver, and they're known for shutting receivers down, but he's still projected to score like 14.
Okay.
And then you have a receiver who's going against like the Jags, and he's just going to go off, and you know it.
Okay.
Then you got to trust the gut.
So
Sometimes you get burnt.
So do you have a draft strategy other than losing to me in the playoffs?
Oh, which year?
Last like 3 years.
Did I, dude? Are you sure?
Last year I beat you in the playoffs.
No. Last year you did. The year before, you texted me because you had the second highest score in the league.
Yeah.
And I had the first in our playoff round.
Oh, that did happen.
Yeah. And then the year before that, I won.
No,
Yeah.
dude, stop it.
I swear to God.
Okay, never mind.
Last year you beat me in the playoffs.
Scratch that. So do you okay, well, do you have a draft strategy?
Kind of.
I'll tell you exactly what mine was this year. I knew that my first 4 picks, I was going to end with 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. And I think that's pretty basic, but like, you know, it's so easy to get wrapped up in the midst of the rounds. And like, I didn't want to go like 4 wide receivers on the front end because running backs are so thin and wide receivers are so deep, but the really good wide receivers are thinner. So I was like, I knew I wanted 2 and 2 after 4 rounds. And I stuck to that because there were probably some other guys that I could have gotten, but like, I don't know. I felt pretty good about that. And then after that, it was a bit of a free for all. I knew that I was going to get a tight end because I wanted one of the top tight ends. So I got Darren Waller.
Oh yeah, great.
So I knew, and I was about to get Pitts, but ended up with Darren Waller. And yeah, I knew that by the 5th round, I wanted to take a tight end because the really good tight ends are thin too. There's like 3 that I can think of that are top tier. You got Waller, Pitts, and Kittle.
Yeah.
You got Kelsey, which I mean, he's
Kelsey's
a beast.
good. Yeah.
So, but that's kind of it. So I was like, I knew that. And then if one of my like top 2, if like Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes was available after that, I might have scooped them up just because those guys are that they score that many points. But once they got picked, I was like, I don't think I drafted a quarterback until way at the end.
Yeah, I think generally when I've done it, there are like little things that I'll look for, which is if there's a receiver and he's got like a new quarterback or a young quarterback. I have trouble trusting that. I mean, I'll trust the tight end above a wide receiver because for whatever reason, I think young quarterbacks really like to target tight ends.
Okay.
And they'll just absorb a lot of those receptions.
Sure.
And that could be a wrong working theory, but I've just done that. I think with running backs, if there's like this, like DeAndre Swift was a great example. With teams that can't move the fucking ball, he'll get volume.
Yeah.
But like when you can't convert third downs, it doesn't matter. Like if you in the line fucking sucks, but like if your quarterback can't throw, all the pressure's on the running back, and there's no point picking him up.
So I know that I said that we weren't going to get into specifics on all of the people we drafted, but I'm going to get into some specifics.
Go for it, yeah.
So of your picks, what were some picks that you went, I feel really good that I got him there? Any picks that stood out to you?
Let me think about that because I hated my position in terms of drafting.
I'll tell you mine.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that I was able to get both Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Those guys were ranked like 5 and 6 overall. I drafted 5th, and I came away with both of them.
Yeah, that was a great pickup because Justin Jefferson, I've had him, I think, 2 years. And
he slipped into the 2nd round. I don't know how.
I understand how that
People were going after running backs, which I understand. But, yeah, man, it was Justin Jefferson could have been – either one of those guys could have been my 5th pick overall, and it would have been like, okay, yeah, that's a solid pick. But I got both. I got Jefferson in the 2nd. He slipped.
I think one that I really did like was Devontae Adams in like the 4th round or 3rd or something like that.
Yeah, I think you got him pretty late. I remember that.
Because I get why people might have been hesitant because, you know, he's with Las Vegas. But it's weird because I think people don't understand that Derek Carr can move the fucking ball.
He's really good.
Yeah.
And they played together in college.
Right.
They have like a good rapport. They know each other well. And Derek Carr's the truth, man. He's good.
He's good. And I think the problem is he's always had subpar receivers. So like his stats don't necessarily stick out, but I mean,
Yeah.
he just hasn't had weapons. Minus Josh Jacobs, which actually I picked up really late too.
You did, although
solid.
he's weird. The last few years, I feel like he started off really strong and then
Mm-hmm.
fallen off at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that'll get you like 30. He's a guy that I feel like he's a really good candidate for a sell high.
Yeah.
So
100%.
after like 3 weeks, he's playing well,
Mhm.
and then you trade him for somebody who's good too, but someone's like, man, I need a running back, and he's like crushing it, and they might think that they're getting the better end of the deal, but historically, he kind of falls off at the end of the year.
Yeah, I kind of got cucked by him because, so last year, I guess somebody rage quit when they just lost in the playoffs,
Yeah.
and they dropped Josh Jacobs, but they had already lost. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna pick this guy up. This is gonna be sick. And I had a lot of really good running backs. And, he was putting up like 15, 14, 13 pretty consistently. And I was like, that's easy swing.
Yeah.
I put him in for a lineup that's like solid. And I think he just sucked. And because
Yeah.
of that, I lost. I think I lost by like a couple points. And I think
Yeah.
that was to you,
It
too.
might have been to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, suck it. I felt pretty good. Now, so speaking of my 7 different types of fantasy football drafters, one of the categories was the loyalist, where you pick up too many players from your favorite team
Okay.
because
yeah.
you think they're all going to go off.
Yeah.
I did that a little bit, but I have a little more depth behind it.
Well,
I
Cordell was great.
I got Cordero Patterson pretty late,
Yeah.
and he was still ranked really low.
He was.
And I'm curious to see what he's going to do, because last year, I want to say he was like, are you able to find out real quick how old he is?
Let's find
Because
out.
I think last year he may have been like 30. So he might be 31, which is pretty old for that position.
He is 31. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because last year he was 30, but he had the best year of his entire career. And they used him as, I was like, because especially in a PPR league, I look at it as like, who's going to touch the ball? If they're going to touch the ball a lot, I want him.
Yeah.
Because that's, we're half a point PPR. So it's like, that's half a point every time he gets a reception, which they have him listed technically as a wide receiver, right?
Mhm.
And so, but they use him as their RB1 a lot of times. Now, he's going to, I think, lose some carries to Tyler Algier this year, but just the fact that they use him in all those different ways, it's kind of like Debo Samuel.
Yeah.
He's a guy that just gets, he's a younger version of that, where like, if he touches the ball a lot, I'm down. And I got him, and he's one of those that I probably could have gotten a few rounds later, but I wanted him, and I knew that eventually if he moved up within like visible range of that chart, that someone would be like, oh yeah, Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I got Drake London too.
Yeah. Drake London was good. He's
all they have.
It's always weird with like rookies though, because
But not lately. Lately you
true.
think Justin Jefferson, his rookie year, he
Was great.
goes off. Jamar Chase won me the league last year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hands down, won me the league last year. He, especially late in the season, he was just a freaking animal. Jalen Waddle's really good. But he was kind of weird. He did good last year though.
But he had Tua, and Tua's not.
He's got Tua again.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He may have started the year with Ryan Fitzpatrick last year.
Yeah. Okay.
Fitzy, baby.
I love Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic?
Yeah. It's so funny because he'll go in and like win you a game in the coolest fashion, and then lose you a game in the stupidest
Yeah.
way you've ever seen possible.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So yeah, like word around the league is, and just if you look at anyone who's watched the NFL consistently over the last few years, it's become clear that wide receivers now coming out of these Power 5 schools are pretty much ready to go day one. And so Drake London, one, there's that for rookie receivers where they're coming out playing really well, but also I just go, who else are they going to throw the ball to? He's their wide receiver 1 out the gate. He's number 1 option right there. Calvin Ridley would have been if he hadn't gambled.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that was stupid.
And the Calvin Ridley thing's weird too, because remember, he took some time off last year for like mental health reasons. I think I had him on my team.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, man. Like,
I remember that.
But then, but hey, look, if you got to go take care of your shit, then do it. But but then after that, the gambling thing. So I don't know what to think about Calvin Ridley. I hope he comes back and plays well, obviously, as a Falcons fan. But yeah, they've got Drake London and then Zacchaeus. And then I don't know who else.
I don't even know who the fuck Zacchaeus
I don't know.
is.
Right?
Yeah.
They had Russell Gage, who was like,
He was okay.
yeah, he was fine. He was fine. I think Matt Ryan made him good.
Yeah.
And
Oh, dude, we got Matt Ryan this year.
that's
I'm a
right.
Colts fan,
So
by the
yeah,
way.
Zach is a big time Colts fan. So let's go ahead and talk about that because this is a Georgia-themed podcast. But Matt Ryan is obviously a legend amongst Falcons fans, with some in a good way for some and a bad way for others. But I'm a Matt Ryan fan. What do you think about him?
Okay, so it's not what I think about him. It's what I think about the Colts and how they make quarterback decisions lately.
Okay.
Which is, let's find a guy that we know is really good and still has a little bit left in the tank.
Yeah.
Let's make him our quarterback, and let's put everything behind that.
Yeah.
That's a little frustrating. With Phillip Rivers, we knew that he could get us to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that he could do anything besides that. With Matt, though, he's better.
I think what you're getting in Matt Ryan is better than what you were getting at Phillip Rivers at the time you got him.
Right. And we're still a great team. I mean, the
Yeah.
defense is incredible. The offensive line is ridiculous. We have Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, you guys are good. It's I'm excited to watch the Colts this year because of that. Because one, Matt Ryan's a really good person. I guess I don't know him personally, but it's just kind of after 14 years of watching him here and seeing, he's done a lot in the city. He seems like a good guy. He's a good. I think he was a great face of the franchise for us. And I mean, really, he's a great quarterback too. I was looking at some statistics that he had. He's got more fourth quarter comebacks than Aaron Rodgers and Joe Montana. He's got crazy.
Than Joe?
More game-winning
That's insane.
drives than those guys. I mean, he statistically the dude is off the charts.
Yeah.
Maybe 9th all-time passing yards, top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, crazy. If you just look, because there's been a lot of talk of is he an MVP? And if you just look at him statistically, yeah, he is. I mean,
And his quarterback ratings are always great.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. And he
Oh, that's insane, dude. If you look at because not a whole lot of quarterbacks in their career will even hit a 4,000-yard year. I mean, you have to be elite for that.
Mhm.
And he hit 4,000 for, let's see, starting in 2011 and ending in 2020.
So yeah, 9 years in a row, 4,000 yards.
Yeah. And
insane.
last year he was off by 32 yards.
Well, last year was a strange year too, because here's been my take on the Falcons lately is so I've had this theory for a long time that in the NFL, I've always felt like everyone's equally as talented.
Mhm.
I think it's because I did the math in my head where I was like, how many high school players are there? A lot.
Sure.
How many of them, let's say on average from each high school, maybe one goes to a Power 5 school?
Sure.
And now you have some high schools in Texas or in parts of Georgia or Florida that more from maybe one school is really good or a certain region. But if you average it out across the country, you maybe have an average of one guy per high school goes, if that. So I was like, okay, that's a small percentage. So the cream of the crops in college, there are so many college players and maybe 1% of them go to the NFL. So I was like, by the time you get to the NFL, if you're drafted or if you're on an NFL roster, you're amazing.
Sure.
And so I was like, at that point, it's just you got to have the right organization and the right coaching because all of them are great. But that theory was completely debunked last year watching the Falcons because it was visible at how much less talent we had than everyone else we played. And the only reason we won as many games as we did is because of Matt Ryan.
Right.
And he statistically, he wasn't as good as he had been. But if you watched him last year, he actually looked faster. I know that last offseason, they made a big emphasis on him getting faster.
Mm-hmm.
And he trained for it. He dieted for it. He worked out for it. That was something they wanted him to be able to do, is to move a little bit faster than he was.
That's so funny.
And
Instead of getting you an offensive line, let's just get you to be faster.
Yeah, dude. They went, look, we haven't fixed this, so you're going to have to run.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. But he had no receivers. I mean, he had Kyle Pitts, you know, and that was cool, but that's what he had. And so, point being is, Matt Ryan last year was still operating at a very high level, in my opinion. He's the only reason that we won as many games as we did. Mm-hmm. And so there wasn't this drop off because of age last year.
Yeah.
If you just watched games, I mean, I watched every single game, and some quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, his last year, you could tell, okay, he's old.
Yeah.
His arm wasn't working, and he won a Super Bowl, so good for him. But the defense,
won defense gave him that Super Bowl.
And so you see these guys who fall off at the end of their career, their arm strength isn't there. The Matt Ryan's not like that. So what you're getting is I think you're going to have a year or two of really good Matt Ryan.
I could just see him under the center. He has his first play and he has more than 3 seconds to throw the ball.
Right?
He's like, is this allowed? Am I allowed to have this much time?
He might actually throw a few picks from that place too, just being like, oh, okay, I didn't need to get used to this timing.
Yeah.
I need to recalibrate everything about how I drop back because I actually can now.
Yeah. Well, and the Falcons are always so funny because even it's weird, dude. Even their really good players will they'll have a year where they're great, and then they're just suck. There was who was that?
Our running backs were kind of like that.
The running backs were like that. Linebackers have been like that. Who is the guy? He was it Vic something? I'm probably wrong.
Vic Beasley.
That's it. Yeah. Vic Beasley had it in all-time year.
Led the league in sacks.
And then
sucked.
Went away.
Yeah.
That's just a common occurrence.
I don't think he likes football.
That could be it.
He just stopped liking football. I think that might have actually been a thing.
That's so stupid. Could you imagine getting paid millions to do something and you decide, I don't like this anymore? Fuck off. Are you kidding? You could pay me $1 million to do a lot of things and I'm sure I'll hate.
Okay, you know what's funny? I'm not going to say who the player was, but I heard this from someone who I know personally who talked to the player.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a little bit specific with this.
I think I know who the player is. So
you might have heard this story, but I'm not going to say who it is only because I know the source that it came from. It was a, whatever. But someone who's in the NFL was like, yeah, I don't like football. And my friend was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't like football. And he's like, then why do you play? He's like, I get paid a lot of money and it's a job. He looks at it as a job.
Yeah.
And he said the day that I stopped liking football was the day that I started playing for Nick Saban.
Yeah, I could see that.
He said as soon as I started, so is an Alabama guy, but he said as soon as I started playing for Nick Saban, I didn't like football anymore.
Yeah, and I drafted him.
But he got me.
I didn't say who it was, but I did draft that guy.
Yeah, you have drafted that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a fun fact there. But yeah, and the Falcons have had some guys like that for sure. But yeah, I think
I feel like you love football. I'm not even trying to shit on Atlanta because I've lived here for a while and I do like Atlanta sports, but I could easily see that guy saying, "Yeah, I loved football until I joined the Falcons."
Actually, that's that might be a common misconception, but I think from what I have seen in a lot of interviews, around the league and stuff, and just being the fanboy that I am, I think the Falcons organization actually has a really good reputation.
I think actually, if I have to look.
The players, I'm pretty sure they really love Arthur Blank. I think he does a really good job. I think that the organization has always operated fairly well in terms of being just first class with how they treat each other, and because some organizations it's been clear that has not been the case. I mean, sorry, Jacksonville, but people are probably pretty upset with Cleveland at the moment and how they've been for years. But no, I think that word around the league is that the Falcons are actually a good place to work.
Sure. Yeah, and it's actually that's kind of interesting because I have a friend who works for the Hawks, and their management, for whatever reason, it just seems like a professional Atlanta thing. They are so good at the way that they treat their players and their fans. It's really cool. If you've been to a Hawks game in the past 5-6 years,
I've heard that it's gotten crunk.
It's crazy. The concessions, it's good food. Mm-hmm. There's these fun little areas where they have bars. You can get nice drinks. You can whatever. Because when I was a kid and I'd go to a football or a basketball game, if you wanted food, they'd give you cardboard that they called nachos. Yeah. And now they have burgers that are legitimately gourmet, and they have Antico's Pizza and the
really?
Yeah.
At State Farm Arena they do?
Yeah, they have a little Antico's Pizza place with a wood fire grill and everything. It's sick.
So the Falcons, we have season tickets this year, and they've been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been really good. And the staff at Mercedes-Benz Stadium was fantastic. The Braves are awesome. The Battery is great. Everything about so. A buddy of mine's got season tickets to the Falcons, to the Braves and the Hawks. Mm-hmm. He actually said that the Braves, it was amazing the way that they treated the season ticket members.
Oh yeah.
He said that it was as first class as you could ever want, like all the perks that come with it. The response time, the staff are really helpful, like whenever he needs something from them. He said the Hawks kind of sucked.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, is your boy, does he work for the...
Oh, he works for them, yeah.
What does he do?
So he does.
We need to get a complaint sent straight up to the top.
Yeah. Well, he does actually a lot of things. So he was part of like their COVID response team.
Okay.
But he also did like data for the team, and then I don't even know. I mean, he does too many things for the Hawks.
Yeah.
But I mean, they treat their employees really well, and maybe he's like thinking that's why it's so good. But I mean, the amenities are just incredible.
Really?
I don't understand how he walked out with a bad experience.
I think that he, just as a season ticket holder,
that could be it.
He compared it to his experience with the Braves, and the way that the staff was that he worked with the Braves for getting his tickets and for just like, I think just the communication and the perks that came along with it. I think that compared to what he got with the Hawks, it was on a lesser level. Why?
Because the Hawks data infrastructure is built on like a 1985 printer.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, not actually, but like it's weird. Like this is technical, I guess. But you'll have these ways that you get data on customers and all this stuff, and you put it in this place. And it's really expensive to go and spend a fuck ton of money to rebuild that structure.
Sure.
So you just try to optimize it for the next year, and then like 25 years later, you're running on like some shitty thing.
That's what the Hawks have done?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. They do have some things that are really like state of the art.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, when it comes to like the customer database or something like that, it's kind of archaic.
Okay, question for you.
Uh-huh.
Your guy's pretty intimately involved with State Farm Arena.
Yeah.
He knows a lot about it.
Sure.
Knows the ins and outs.
Uh-huh.
That water main break during the election.
Oh, dude.
Rigged?
Bush did that.
Rigged?
Yeah, George Bush did that. Yeah. That was Bush, dude. Obviously.
Bush breaking the water main, dude.
Well, he also burned down 85. And we don't talk about that enough,
That's right,
honestly.
dude. Man, thanks, Bush.
Yeah, you asshole.
So, he said that the Hawks weren't as good as the Braves, but the Falcons have been great for us. And, they did. Like, they made a whole point at making the concessions cheap for people. I mean, you can literally go. My wife and I went to the preseason game. We each got a burger, fries, and 2 drinks. Total $24.
That's not bad.
Completely. Like, I would spend that at Burger King.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, not $24 at Burger King.
Oh, dude, you haven't seen me at Burger King, bro.
Okay,
you don't know what I can spend at Burger King.
17 Whoppers?
Actually, I would probably spend money not to eat at Burger King.
Same.
I hate Burger King. I think that's the worst of the big 3. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's.
It's not even the big
Burger
3
King
anymore.
is at the bottom.
Yeah, it's dethroned as the big 3. And it's
What
been that
has
way
been?
since 1987.
What are you talking about?
Burger King.
You think
No way, big 3.
really?
No, not
Do you have a
anymore.
big 3?
Wendy's, McDonald's, and I guess it's just a revolving door.
So Burger King's just not even on the same level.
No.
I agree with that take. I think Burger King's stupid.
It's bad.
They've had funny commercials. That's about all they have going for them. Okay, we've talked about a lot. Back to fantasy.
Yeah,
Any closing thoughts about fantasy football that you have about, how you did? Any picks that stuck out to you? I don't know if you ever answered that.
Yeah, let's see. Let me look at the teams real quick.
Did you have anything where you went, oh man, that's a steal right here?
Yeah. Well, you took Jared Judy.
I did take Jerry Judy before you were going to.
And that's his name, right? It's Jared Judy?
Jerry.
Jerry. I said Jared. Jesus. I'm so sorry, Jerry. Being named Jared that's my bad.
Ever since Jared.
Yeah, ever since Fogel, it's just not been the same.
Fogel?
The Subway guy.
Oh, that is his last name?
Yeah, Fogel,
okay.
yeah.
I was thinking about the Subway guy.
Yeah.
He kind of ruined that name.
He did. Let's see. I think Godwin was a good pickup.
You got him late. He was available way
I didn't
late.
get him. It was whoever Jordan.
Okay, yeah.
That was a good pickup. Megan had a couple really good ones.
Yeah, she did. She drafted well.
She did. And then, yeah, I mean, obviously, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson is just insane. You have like a lot of receivers.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra.
You want to trade?
I have a lot of receivers too.
Really?
Yeah. I have a lot of everything. I didn't even get a second.
Mine are better.
quarterback.
You want a better receiver?
Yeah, yours are better.
What kind of running backs?
I'll give you
working
AJ Dillon
okay.
for Jamar Chase.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You send it. I'll review it.
Down.
Okay, no, I think that's good. That'll wrap it up. That'll wrap up this segment. Thank you, Zach, for joining.
Yeah.
And back to whatever I was talking about before we started this. Hope you enjoyed that interview and discussion. And to wrap this show up, once again, can't mention this enough, but just congratulations to everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause. You made it through the off season. We're back. We're here. And we're, just back in action. It's in full swing. We're back. Football is here, and it's here to stay for at least, the foreseeable future. So, to kick off the show, or to end the show, rather, we're going to circle back around with the trivia answer. See, I didn't forget this time. Trivia answer is here. And if you remember correctly, the question was, Blooper was introduced in January of 2018 as the mascot for the Atlanta Braves. Who was the mascot before that? And the answer is Homer the Brave. Homer the Brave was our mascot prior to Blooper. He was just honestly a regular-looking guy with a baseball for a head, and I don't remember anything other than that. Blooper has certainly established himself as a memorable mascot. I don't think Blooper is going anywhere for a while because he's hilarious. He's got a great Twitter. I think he has the most successful Twitter account for any mascot, maybe in any sport. That might be true, but he's all over the place. He's hilarious, and especially after that video of him just bulldozing little kids at that preseason game. I was there, and it was just magic. But he's staying on the front of everyone's mind. So good for you, Blooper, for having just a great marketing strategy and getting the word out. So yeah, Homer the Brave. He was the guy that passed the torch, and yeah, it's a good choice. Good choice by everyone involved. Blooper was introduced, in 2018 at a fan fest or something in January, and it just worked, man. It worked. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys listening as always. It's Labor Day, so I hope you're getting a much needed rest. I hope you're enjoying yourself, spending time with your family, with your friends, and that you are just having a good old time. It's Labor Day is the start of just kind of that last leg of the year, but a lot of wonderful things to look forward to. This is the best time of year. We've got football starting up. We got Halloween right around the corner. Also, October, the weather gets great. September's a little deceiving. It gets really, really cool and then really hot again. So I'm already prepared for a couple of swings emotionally with the weather, but that's okay because we know that cool weather is right around the corner. Then we've got Halloween, Thanksgiving, holidays, Christmas, New Year's. It's all good stuff. Exciting things going on. So we have a lot to be grateful for. So I'll end it with that. Be grateful. A lot to be grateful for. Gratitude is a gateway emotion. Do you know that? I mean, think about that. If you're really in a grateful place in your life, chances are what follows that thought is going to be a good one. So make sure you stay grateful. Show your gratitude to your loved ones. And I will see you on Wednesday, where we will absolutely talk about the Braves and the Mets. And just everything that, I mean, who knows? Maybe by Wednesday. Don't want to jinx it. Knock on wood. But we're one game back as of Monday. So maybe on Wednesday, that might look a little different. So go Braves, go Dogs, go Falcons, and go you. See ya.